You could do so many things that are so much cooler. Like, you could eat fries in that time. Like, people to me are doors. Hi, hello, and welcome everybody to this brand new video. First things first, in case my voice dies in between, I still have a little bit of a cold, but I am getting better and that's what counts. Second of all, it's Ace Week. Why is that so dear to my heart? Because I am an asexual. Who would have guessed? You probably know this, I've talked about this a bunch. But today I'm gonna answer some of your questions because I asked you guys on Instagram and you asked me some questions about asexuality, and we're gonna talk about that, and then I'm also gonna give you some book recommendations in case you want to read up on some stuff. So we're gonna just dive into a slight overview of asexuality because honestly, I cannot give you all of this information in depth. So down below I'm gonna link some accounts for you that you can just like binge watch in case you are interested, or in case you feel like maybe you need more information on it. Please do. We always need more people that are actually informed about asexuality and that know what asexuality is so that I don't have to explain myself every single time I tell people that I am asexual. So let's get into all of your questions and let's get into some definitions because honestly, we need some definitions like right now. So first things first, what is asexuality? So asexuality is a spectrum identity. That's the first thing you need to know. In general, it means that a person has little to no sexual attraction to a person of any gender. There are people who experience more attraction to a certain gender, which is when people would use other prefixes like hetero, homo, as like a prefix to the asexuality. So they would say, maybe I'm a hetero-romantic asexual person. Like, all of these things exist. Speaking of different groups within the spectrum, like, you can be gray sexual, which means you have maybe a little sexual attraction, but there is still sexual attraction sometimes, which is a valid form of asexuality. You're under that umbrella. There are demisexuals, which are people who only experience sexual attraction after they have a strong emotional bond. There are so many different spectrum identities. I'm gonna link some videos for you below where you can read up on all of them, but I just feel like these three, like gray sexual, demisexual, and asexual, are the most common and most known ones. Another thing that is not asexuality but that I still want to mention is aromanticism. A lot of people assume that asexuality and aromanticism go hand in hand, whereas asexuality is not having any sexual attraction, aromanticism is not having any romantic attraction. There are a lot of other forms of attraction that are still there, like platonic attraction, aesthetic attraction, all of those, and we still feel all of those attractions. Like, I can still walk around and say, wow, that person is really beautiful, because they are really beautiful. So that's something that I still feel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would like to really hang out with that person because I feel like it would be such great friends. Those are feelings that I still have. What I struggle with personally is sexual attraction, so I would definitely say I'm an asexual, like full-on asexual. I started out thinking, okay, maybe I'm gray sexual. Then I went on and was like, okay, maybe I'm demisexual. And then I was like, you know what, I'm probably very much asexual. And then the same thing happened with me with the romantic spectrum, where I was like, you know, maybe I'm like gray romantic, and right now I still think that I'm in the gray area of the romantic spectrum, just like very much to the aromantic part. Like, I haven't felt any romantic attraction in like years. Honestly, years. I'm not sure if I've ever felt romantic attraction, because for me it's very hard to distinguish what romantic attraction would feel like, because I want to be really good friends with people. I have a lot of that platonic attraction and I want to be like besties with people and I want to be around them because I love that person, but just not in a romantic way. Does that make sense? Probably not to any of you, but to my other aro aces out there, it probably makes a lot of sense. The next question that kind of fits into that topic is, are you then not sexually interested in anything, like not even yourself? And that's where every single ace person is different. Like, it's just a word that we use to describe our sexual attraction. Asexuality is all about who you're attracted to. It doesn't mean who you interact with. There are asexuals who really want to be intimate with others. There are asexuals who just don't want that. So the official terms for that are like sex favorable, neutral, and repulsed. I don't like the word repulsed, probably because I technically fall into that category, but I feel like the word repulsed isn't right. Honestly, it just sounds like a massive waste of time. Imagine what you could do in the time that you're intimate with somebody. You could do so many things that are so much cooler. Like, you could eat fries in that time. So yeah, so every single person is different, and especially if people are intimate with themselves, that's where every single person, asexual or not, is different. We just don't feel the attraction towards another human being as much as others do. I think that's the best way I can describe it. You could still want to be intimate, not with another being, because you're not attracted to that. Like, if you, for example, look at a door, you're not thinking, okay, well, that's such a sexy door. Like, why would you think that? And that's how people feel to me. Like, people to me are doors. I am such a weird person with my descriptions right now, but it makes sense to me, and that's all that matters. I don't think that that has anything to do with asexuality itself. Now we're moving on to the first batch of books I'm going to show you, and the next question, which is, can asexuals have relationships? Of course, asexuals can have relationships, as many as they want, in whatever way they want. For example, like Astat Advice, they're incredible. You can watch all their videos. They helped me so much to like get to know myself, and I will link them down below. They're incredible. For example, they're in a relationship. They're married. But in general, yes, you can be in a relationship. There are aces, of course, who choose not to be in a relationship. There are aromantics who choose not to be in a relationship. There are also aromantics who do. It always depends on personal preference. There are allosexuals, which is the opposite of asexuals, who choose not to be in a relationship. Moving on to books that have asexual characters who are in relationships, which are most of these, by the way, because most of these characters are in relationships. Some of these I have not read yet, and I'm deeply sorry. So we have This Doesn't Mean Anything. We have an asexual character who's dating somebody. We have The Charm Offensive, which is a demisexual character. The Romantic Agenda features multiple asexuals who are in relationships with allosexuals, which can be a little struggle, but you can work through it if the communication is good. We have the Mistletoe Motive, who's also, like, the main character is also a demisexual. Incredible. Next up, we have Radio Silence, also great representation of a demisexual character. I love them. Now, related to that question, we have the next question, which is, have you ever been with a non-ace person or like an allo person, and what's that like? Now, as I've said before, it takes a lot of communication. You just have to say what you like, say what your preferences are, what you're okay with, and then your partner will either say, fine, that's fine with me, or they will say, you know what, I cannot live with the way that you experience relationships, and then that's a relationship that won't work. So it is possible, definitely. It just needs a lot of compromises, like any other relationship does as well. So just for me personally, I'm not looking for a relationship. So for me, I've been with an allo person before. Not my cup of tea, just because like, it's just not. But that's probably not because I am asexual. That's because I'm also aromantic, and I just don't feel the need for that. I want relationships as in I want strong friendships. I don't care what gender that person is that I'm in a friendship with. I just want to be with them. I want to hang out with them. I want to spend time with them. Sometimes, very, very, very rarely, I want to cuddle them. The next question is one that I very much like because books. Does your asexuality affect the way that you read and the books that you enjoy? So I read a lot of spicy romance, and I've heard that question a lot, like how can you read that much smut basically and be asexual? That doesn't work out. It does, believe me, because I don't want the things that are in those books. Like, I really, really don't. If you would come at me with the stuff that's in the books, with those characters, I would run. To me, that's made up. It doesn't make sense. I never think and pretend like I'm the main character, so it's just not real. And that way I can just like enjoy the book. Although I have to say, I usually just skim through those and just read what they say to each other. And I am much happier if there's just not any spice in the books. You don't find many romance books that are that way. So I just live with it. So now I'm going to go into some books that actually have asexual representation, like aro-ace representation, which is, in my opinion, very rare in books. I'm going to start with this. This is not aro-ace, it's just an asexual who doesn't have a romance in the book, and that's just completely fine with her. So next up we have A Touch of Golden Iron. A Taste of Golden Iron. That book is called A Taste of Golden Iron, not A Touch of Golden Iron. Reading is something I apparently still need to learn. There is an asexual side character in this, and it's just normal for him to be asexual, and I love that about it. It's so nice. And the last one, the perfect one, Perfection Itself, Loveless by Alice Oseman. This is one of my favorite books. It has perfect representation. It's just incredible. And of course, what else would you expect from an aro-ace author who writes a book about an aro-ace girl? It's just, I loved it. There are a lot of definitions in this book. Like, asexuality is explained because Georgia learns about asexuality. It's just incredible. Pick this up, please. I beg you, pick it up. And then lastly, we have a few questions that I can understand very well. These are mostly questions I think that other aces asked, or people who might think that they might be under the ace umbrella. So that question is, do you ever doubt your sexuality every day? The thing about asexuality is that it's a lack of attraction. And when I was in school, I was like, okay, you know what? Every single person here feels the same to me. Like, I thought maybe I would be bisexual because the attraction to every other person was just the same. It wasn't until I was older that I realized, well, this just doesn't feel the same to me. I don't want to be with anybody. And that's when I realized that I was asexual. And as soon as I came to terms with that, it's been a lot easier. But there are a lot of days, especially when I read like romance, I'm like, is it weird that I read this as an asexual? But then I tell myself that there are no rules, and I generally I make the rules. And if I say that I'm asexual, then nobody can tell me different. So with that mindset, it actually works pretty well for me so that I don't doubt myself all the time, just sometimes. And then the last question that I want to answer today is, how do you cope with heteronormativity? As a starter, I've heard so many times that asexual people have it so easy because they don't have to come out. In some ways, you're right. We don't have to come out. I don't have to tell anybody that I'm ace. It doesn't matter to people. It shouldn't matter to people. So first up, why did I do it anyway? Why did I come out? While I was growing up, I felt broken inside because I didn't understand what was going on. I thought, because I don't feel attracted to people, I have to be attracted to people. Like, there is always a person you're attracted to, and that has to be either from your own gender, from another gender, or like people from no gender. It doesn't matter. But you have to be attracted to somebody. And so I thought maybe I was broken, maybe there was something wrong with me. And this feeling of feeling broken, I don't wish that anybody feels that way. And that is why I, as a person on the internet, I talk about it. I talk about it a lot. And I tell people, I'm asexual and this is what it feels like, because I don't want people to think that there's something wrong with them. That they have to fix themselves just to be like everybody else. That's the reason why I came out, why I told people, you know what, I'm asexual, and that's me. Now, the thing with asexuals and coming out is you always have to explain it. And I personally don't mind explaining what asexuality means to me. I enjoy it. Like, when I come up to people and I say, you know what, I'm asexual, and they ask me, interesting, what does that mean to you? Like, what does that mean? How do you deal with that? I am happy to explain. I know not every ace person feels that way. I feel that way to a certain point. Like, if I have to tell people and then I come up to them and I'm like, you're asexual, I would much rather they ask me what it means than they assume what it means. But the best thing would be if people already knew what it was and they didn't assume that just because somebody's asexual, they're also aromantic, that those two are very deeply connected. That's just not the case. And the worst thing is that with people think or seem to think that it's a choice that I make. Like, it's not a conscious choice that I make. I don't wake up and be like, you know what, I'm asexual now. And you know, most people, they want to help, they want to be kind, and they say things like, you'll meet the right person for you. There is just, like, there is a lid to every pot. It just makes sense in German, right? Jeder Topf hat einen Deckel. I just translated that into English and it did not sound like anything that anybody says. That's just what people say. They try to make you feel better about it when in reality you just don't need that. You don't want that. To anybody who has ever, like, is planning on talking to an asexual person, please don't tell them that they'll meet the right person one day. If they want to be in a relationship and they haven't found the right partner who is considerate of them and who will treat them as an equal, then they will find the right person, I'm sure of that. But if they are a person that doesn't want a relationship, then there is no right partner for them because they just don't need a partner. And I think the most important thing as a society is just that we have to rethink the norm. Like, should it really be normal to be in a relationship? Should that be what everybody needs to be like the end goal? People act like it's the end goal to find a partner. I don't have that end goal. I don't want that end goal. So yeah, that's it. Those are the questions that you asked, the questions that I hopefully answer very well. If you are questioning your asexuality, asexuality is a sexuality that you question every single day, mostly because there are so many fluctuations in it. You can be on one end of the spectrum and on the other end of the spectrum. There is a wide range. But if you feel like asexuality describes you and what you think it is, then that's the right word for you. Then welcome to the Ace Umbrella. We are lovely people here. Hi, it's nice to meet you. And if for whatever reason you're not a reader, I have this book. This book is also a podcast. The Sounds Fake But Okay podcast is a podcast about asexuality and aromanticism, and it's incredible. And you can check it out, honestly, it's great. Those two girls are so nice, I love them. And I felt so nice knowing that people have similar opinions than me, and I binged this podcast. I really did. Now this video was all over the place because I had to stop so many times because I've been coughing like nonstop. I've had like a liter of water already. I will now go back to bed and calm my voice, not speak for the rest of the day, because honestly, every time I do, it starts like another coughing fit and it's just not fun. It's really not fun. But I hope I didn't forget anything. I hope it made a lot of sense, the way that I put it. Maybe. I'm not sure. I just hope that you learned something about asexuality, that you go into the world knowing a little more, that you go into the world being kind to everybody and just accepting them as they are, accepting yourself as you are, which is, in my opinion, the hardest part. And I will see you for the next video that I make with more books. Bye! Why am I doing this to myself? I should have just stayed in bed. Ugh. Bye!